Our world's energy resources could be the most important aspect of our economy and our sustainability as humans heading into the centuries in front of us. One thing that is not argued about is the characteristics that our energy sources must have. We need an energy source that is constantly and naturally replenished, environmentally safe, and very efficient. These are the main characteristics of renewable energy. This presentation will explain where renewable energy can be found, how we utilize the sources of energy, and what role each plays in our energy mix. There are 5 main sources of renewable energy. These are biomass, hydropower, geothermal, wind, and solar. Biomass energy consists of wood, solid waste such as human garbage, and biogases like ethanol and biodiesel. Humans have been using biomass since the discovery of fire, when wood was burned for heat. Another source of renewable energy people have been using for a very long time is water, referred to as hydropower. In the beginning, hydropower was used for turning a paddle wheel in order to grind grains. A similar method is applied in the modern harnessing of hydropower. Flowing or falling water turns blades inside a turbine in order to spin a generator and create electricity. Today, hydroelectricity accounts for 71% of renewable electricity. But hydropower wasn't the only renewable to be used in the process of grinding wheats and grains. Windmills were as well. But wind energy was harnessed long before the technology of windmills. Ancient Egyptians used wind to sail ships on the Nile River. Wind farms today are the most common way wind energy is harnessed. Wind farms are large groups of wind turbines located in areas where winds are sustained and strong. These can be on land or in the water. Wind spins large blades which rotate a turbine that causes a generator to produce power. There are projects involving wind farms all across our country and off our surrounding shores. A source of energy that really hasn't been harnessed until more recently is geothermal. Geothermal is essentially heat from the Earth's core. Geothermal heat pumps are a way to tap that energy. These systems utilize the near constant year-round temperature of around 50 degrees Fahrenheit that exists between 5 and 10 feet underground. Air is pumped through pipes that are buried at this depth. In the summer, the system removes warmer air and returns it to the building cooled, and then in the winter takes cool air and warms it underground to be returned to the building. This method can be as much as 72% more efficient than normal conditioning systems. A renewable energy source that has a much more extensive infrastructure around it is solar power. This energy source is inexhaustible and has a very low impact on our environment. The amount of energy the sun produces is unimaginable. In fact, in only 20 days of sunshine, the sun matches all of the Earth's energy reserves of coal, oil, and natural gas combined. Photovoltaics, the most well-known way of harnessing the sun's energy, are solar cells, which convert sunlight directly into electricity. They can be installed quickly and in any size necessary. A way to harness the sun's energy on a more commercial level is the construction of solar thermal plants, which concentrate the sun's rays to superheat a liquid in order to produce steam. Now, this chart represents renewable energy's role in our nation's energy supply for 2008. Solar energy accounts for 1% of our renewable energy mix. Since the source is virtually inexhaustible, it is going to be very important going forward to find ways to incorporate solar into large and small applications. Hydropower provides 34% of our nation's energy mix. Although geothermal systems installations are on the rise, it accounts for only 5% of renewable energy consumption and less than 0.5% of all sources providing energy to Americans. The source of energy that used to be number one is biomass. At one time, biomass provided as much as 90% of our total energy needs. Today, nearly a century and a half off its peak, biomass accounts for less than 4% of our nation's energy supply. Moving on to wind energy, currently wind produces only 0.5% of the nation's total energy consumption. However, over the next few decades, that number is expected to grow exponentially. The states with the most wind production are Texas, California, Minnesota, and Oklahoma. Currently, renewable resources as a whole only produce around 7% of our nation's energy consumption. So in conclusion, although some renewable energy resources may be farther along than others, no one source can meet our society's future energy needs. But with the rising costs of fossil fuels and the demand for cleaner, more efficient ways to power the future, renewable energy will be tapped and may soon be a leading source for our nation. Are there any questions?
You mentioned there were 5 main sources of renewable energy. Are there other sources of renewable energy that may not play a major role but still have potential?
There indeed are. One source that is beginning to gain ground is tidal power. This is capturing the natural motion of the ocean as the tide and waves transfer energy. This method is being tested at many universities and labs and is actually already being used in Holland to power new home developments.
Since biomass consists mainly of things that are grown and destroyed when put to use for energy, such as trees and corn, why is it considered a renewable resource?
This is a great question because it helps define the area between renewable and non-renewable. Biomass is considered a renewable since its sources can be reproduced within a manageable time frame. Corn can be regrown within months, and trees can be harvested after 10 to 15 years. Sources of energy like oil take millions of years to form. Therefore, we consume oil at a much faster pace than it can ever be produced.
Given the research you have done, what renewable resource, in your opinion, is the most important for society as a whole to invest in going forward?
In my opinion, solar energy is the most important for our society. Solar can be adapted for large and small applications, and the resource itself being inexhaustible and the cleanest source of energy will be very important.